everyone, get ready because the wrinkly old cunt is back. It's your lovely drag host. It is Jasmine.
Damn. Hole in the radiator. Probably from when we smashed through the gate.
Hey, I mean, she got us this far.
20 more minutes and we would have been there.
I guess we're walking whether we want to or not. How far are we from the house?
Looks like we have another 5 or so miles to go once we get through town.
I'd say I didn't get my cardio in today.
How hard it is just to uproot your life and start over. It's even harder when you don't feel like there's any support system for you to fall back on. Well, I'm here now, and I'm guessing writing everything down will be my substitute for therapy. I knew this change was coming, and I was somewhat prepared for it. But now that it's done, and I am here staring at these blank walls in a place I'll have to learn to call home. I feel completely exhausted. About a month ago, something happened that I don't know if I can talk about it yet. Mostly because I don't think I've been able to wrap my head around it. The one thing I do know is that when it happened, I knew that something had to change. I hadn't ever really questioned the belief of my parents who raised me with until that day, but seeing the construction with my own eyes opened the floodgates of doubt. Saying that it is provoked extinguished crisis would be heartfully. Oh, I just saw something there. Just flying over there. Where was I? Provoked existing crisis would be heartily underestimate the worst part of it all. The impelling ascension, that's what we call it when someone reach the age of adulthood. Well, hang on, you're not an adult till you're 20. Or is it 18? That's when adulthood starts. Interesting. I'm still a kid, and although everyone in my community had come to this adversary agreement that hitting a certain age milestone made us somehow instantly capable of handling the whole new set of responsibilities. I simply didn't see things the same. My mom always said that I have an insane with authorities and that if I didn't get it in check, I would lead me down the dark path in my mind. My mother was simply the type of person who was comfortable with being told of how things were accepted and accepted it without questions. I've never been like that. I have always classed with her grown up. My take on things was always to look for the truth in any situation, and if things didn't add up, ask questions. Sure enough, I got labeled as a rebel, but honestly, who wants to go through life like a sheep being led to the slaughter? So that night, before the ascension ceremony, I threw a few changes of clothes into my backpack and just left. I had a little cash set aside for this, and it was more than enough to buy a ticket out of Michigan. And that's how I ended up in a tiny effective apartment somewhere in the middle of the Arctic America. It's an old building, but I don't have much in the way of furiation, but I am free from the stupidity of religion that my parents force fed me since birth, free from a community of people so set in the way that they would commit unspeakable acts against others to appease their gods, free to start a new life normally and do my best intelligence to society into the society around me. My only worry is that I didn't cover my tracks well enough. Oh, so somebody in the high secret society, the cult, was trying to sacrifice this kid when he reached adulthood. Ah, so that makes sense with Daniel's point of view. So that makes sense with the situation with Daniel. Kind of interesting, the story. I do like a good story. Okay, let's keep looking.
Whatever's happening hit hard here.
How did this spread so fast? Everything was fine a few days ago, but now everywhere we go, there's just death. It's insane.
Something is definitely strange. The further we go, the worse things seem to be. There has to be some sort of explanation.
Martha just disappeared.
There might be someone in there who can help us.
Wouldn't hurt to check. Holy shit, Marty, come look! We may not have to walk the whole way.
Oh my god, it's in perfect shape!
If you're looking for the keys to Bobby's car, they're at Ramsey's pub. He decided to get shit-faced so that Sheriff came to pick him up. Emma grabbed his keys sometime earlier in the night. I guess she had the force night for that. So whenever you clock in, go pick those up so we can drop off the vehicle to his house.
Okay, so we head to the bar, grab the keys, and sneak our way back here past those things outside. And then we're home free.
Sounds good. I wasn't too excited about hiking through the ass end of nowhere today.
It's just strange, you know?
What's strange?
I mean, this whole town just feels wrong. Where is everybody? Just weird how since we got here, we've seen no sign of life besides those things. Everything looks as though there were people here an hour ago.
Yeah, I'm not trying to dwell on that.
The note said the keys are at the bar, and that's as good a place as any to start looking for clues. In small towns like this, the local bar gets more foot traffic than a church. And usually the owners are fairly well connected. I don't know, maybe that's where everyone went.
Well, no time like the present to check.
August the 4th, 2001. August the 4th, 2001. I had a nightmare last night. I've had them before, but not like this. I read that some people can control their dreams. Oh, lucid dreaming is what it's called, but that makes it sound like something pleasant. It wasn't pleasant for me. I got home from work around 10 p.m. looking forward for some leftovers lasagna and refrigerating a glass of ice too. Yesterday was a long day at work. Inventory day, Tetris, mind-numbing work after full shift dealing with crazy customers. Karens? It was a full moon last night, and I swear that people turned into wild animals every time the moon shows up. It's a round face to the world. Who knows, maybe that's what instigated the nightmares. The funny thing is that I don't remember falling asleep. I know that I finished work, my food, and was halfway through the second glass of tea. I was watching a late night program of The Wizard of Oz, and Dorothy just had arrived in a whole new world of Technicolor something, when suddenly, much like Dorothy herself, I was somewhere else. I've written down before about how some of my memories from my past feel so valid at times, and this was a similar feeling, just much more intense. I didn't recognize my surroundings, and yet they felt too familiar. Even the smell of a place burned its way into my nose. It was the smell of wet soil, signified a note of a copper. I knew I was underground because there was no light. It took a moment that for my eyes to adjust, and I could see the vague outline of the pillars stretching upwards into the darkness. Somewhere in the distance I could hear the muffled sound of someone struggling. After taking a few steps forward, I could see the outline of what looks like a stone altar, and someone laid on top of the bound with a rope, struggling to get free. I started to moving towards them quickly, intent on freezing them. But then from beneath me I could hear a sound of person choking. I looked down and was mortified to see my own hands wrap around the throat of the bound person on the altar. She was young with dark brown hair, and her face was eerily familiar, although I couldn't place it. How did I get there? What was I doing? These thoughts and more raced through my head as I could feel my grip tighten and tighten. I had lost control of my body and was witnessing all this without any ability to make it stop. A moment later I felt their throat crush beneath my fingers. A wave of disgust washed over me, and the next thing I remember was leaning over the edge of the altar and vomiting, and then I was no longer there. I was standing at the door of an old house. I felt something cold in my hands and looked down to see a set of keys. My other arm moved on its own and rang the doorbell. From inside the house I could hear someone come to the door. I heard them say that was fast, and without thinking I kneeled down and slipped the keys through the cracks under the door. My body stood and turned to and leave, but I had been moved again to another place. Also this time I knew right where I was, back home. In Husband's Fall was a park nearby the town I grew up in. I was standing in the gazebo of the park, and it stormy sky of a park. It was a stormy sky, was dark except for the occasion flash of lightning and rain pouring down relentlessly. And then I heard something big was coming towards me. It was a grunting and groaning in the most awful way. Lightning flashed and I saw it, a huge massive pile of flesh that had maybe once a person, shaming directly towards the gazebo. I was frozen in place as the monster drew closer and closer. Just before it set one foot into the gazebo, I woke up. My body was tired, covered in sweat, and my stomach was doing the flip-flop. I rolled out of bed and my foot landed in something warm and slimy. My vomit, at least part of that nightmare, had been real. I figured I should write this down since I normally can't remember the content of my dreams. I'm honestly wondering if this is why I kept waking up feeling stressed and sick for all the time last year. I think it's about time to write down that I remember, purge it all for good. Maybe then the bad dreams and the strange noises will stop. Oh, so someone has been experiencing bad naughty dreams. Very intriguing. I wonder if there's something to do with the grandmother as well. Only way to find out. Right. So I need to look for a bar. Why is it freezing all the time? Oh, fuck.
Whatever this is that's happening can't have spread that fast.
Yeah, you'd expect some sirens and flashing lights at least. But this whole place just feels dead.
October the 31st, 2001. I did a funny thing that at last I find hilarious. I made myself a genie set of anti-ghost armor. I read somewhere that in the festival of Samiham, the sentinels would dress up in costume to ward off ghosts. So I figured, why not give it a try on the one day of the year that wouldn't get me openly mocked for being the attempt. Here's a recipe: 1 large bedsheet color optional, 1 pair of fish socks, a felt pen, 1 pair of scissors, a needle thread, and 1 roll of blank ribbons. Turn the sheet inside out and throughout yourself. Adjust the sheet until it covers your arms and hands. Evenly use the felt pen to roughly mark where your wrist would go. Draw a rough circle around the crown of your head and roughly mark your eye sockets. Oh. Next, use scissors to cut out where you mark your eyes. Then use the fishnet stocking materials and cut 2 squares that covers the holes you just made in your sheet. Use the needle thread to sew the patch of fabric on the inside of your sheet. And final task, you find the markings that you made for your wrist and sew in the length of the ribbon. Each side you'll want to make sure the length of the ribbon gives you plenty of slack to tie around your wrist. The final touch is to dress completely in black torso, sheet cover over your head, using the crown markings to your eyes and ribbons to your wrist. And Valhalla, you will have anti-ghost armor with added bonus of camouflage, you know, cause it's a ghost costume. Well, that's funny for Halloween. I did make the costume attended a Halloween work party and added the knowledge of where the costume additions came from. Gave for heteros inspiration as to what the costume would be. Maybe there's a small part of me that hopes it works as more than a festival decoration. I'm still having the nightmares, the same one, and almost every night, and sounds it's honestly gotten worse, so much worse. So I'm hoping there's some purpose in the tradition. Just one solid night of sleep, that's all I'm asking for. Oh, so it's the same guy who's been having nightmares. I wonder who this could be. Our dad, probably? Are you? Ah! Come on. Oh, fuck! Is it over? Jesus. I am writing this from a hotel room about 30 minutes away from the apartment. I'm not staying there anymore. Time to look for a new place. I've had 40 days of peace, no sounds, no bad dreams, no more 3 a.m. waking up from an unseen thoughts banging on the door. All that ended a few hours ago. A couple of months back, I had to go and see a man I heard about while researching my situation. He had been a missionary in the Central America for 30 years, returning to the state for his retirement. His name was John Malik, although he insists I call him Jack. And he had become a recognizable expert in a certain circle for his knowledge of the occult, primarily demology. He was a kind man in his early 70s, standing a full 6 feet, with a shock of unruly white hair. I wondered out if his hair had gone white from all the crazy things he has been witnessing, and that exhalate a laugh. I explained the situation at my apartment, being very careful not to divine anything from my past before moving in there. Somehow he knew anyways. As I described each horrific occurrence, Jack kept asking me if I had gone through some sort of spiritual religious trauma. Oh, or if I had left an abusive religious family. He even asked if I or anyone I knew personally was involved in a cult. I knew it! I knew it! So, in the end, I told him everything. When I finished, I felt a huge weight roll off my shoulders. Jack encouraged me to write down and building up to that, one day at a time. He then offered me to take me back to my apartment to try a few things. They're sort of like cleansing rituals, just without as many steps. He said kindly, more like a prayer and some words that have been echoed in other cases. At this point, I don't care. I spent well over the years dealing with things, and I was gasping at the straw. When Jack came through the door of my place When Jack came through the door of my place, I had a strange feeling that everything would be okay. I kept looking around, almost expecting some sort of physical manifestation on my troubles, but all I saw was modestly furnished apartments, but in the air, seeming to swallow the kind of man that was there to help me. He pulled me out an old leather board book and quickly flipped into a specific page and began reading it quietly. As he was doing so, it felt like whatever oppressive presence was filling the room dispersed. That night I had the first fully unbothered sleep since leaving Aspen 4. I woke up the next day feeling refreshed and at peace. I got a confirmation when there had been no signs of activities for months. I should have known it wouldn't last. It started right as I was getting into bed last night. First it was the sounds of footsteps behind me, but there was nobody there. After I climbed into bed, I heard a click and looked over to see my closet door swung open with a dry creak. I was about to get out of bed and close the door when I felt a mighty force wrap itself around my body and push me back down into the mattress. Booming voice called out, "I have found you." And the moment it stopped speaking, all the energy went out of the room, and I took the opportunity to grab a few things and leave. I've been in this hotel room for a few hours now, and I really don't think I can go back to my place. Maybe I'll feel different in the morning, so hopefully I can sleep. This is definitely the same guy what's been going on, and it's getting far more interesting, and I do feel sorry for the bloke who's been through this, but this is getting very intense, and like it said, it's a traumatic trauma for events, so really it's the same bloke from when he was a child to an adult, so it's kind of connecting to the source material. Things are not looking up. Right, come on Daniel, we're gonna suck some gay cock. Oh fuck. Come on, you son of a bitch. Now, where's some files? Oh. Local council presents. Local council prepares for the 142 anniversary parade. Members of the town council have begun preparing for the annual festival to celebrate the founding of Asper's Falls. City Council woman Dara Gillespie Silent Hill returns, yay! Told this reporter that the festival this year will be the grandest yet. We're planning a full day of family fun with streets vendors, artists, carnivals, games, even a performance by Aspen Falls local rock and legend heroes, the 12 Days in June, who will be playing all their radio hits starting at 8 p.m. in town center. When asked if having a celebration so close to recent allegations of the fictional mismanagement by the town official councilwoman, Gillespie stated, "This is for the people of our beautiful town, and we should set it as a chance to come together with our neighbors, not just healthy to believe unfounded rumors that divide the community." Oh! So they were trying to celebrate the anniversary, but what I don't understand is what's the connection that's been going on and the mystery behind everything. It sums out that the town had secrets, bit like Silent Hill but way much better. There's the bar! I'm going back to get my things today. I'm super nervous about setting foot back in that apartment, but I don't really have a choice. I spent all day yesterday figuring out what I would do about my apartment, and my job, and during that process fell into a bit of luck. Looks like there's another store in the city close by that needs a general manager, so I'm taking that position. My boss committed on Saintary of asking me for a transfer right when that position becomes available. Then when I called the office at my apartment complex, they told me that the neighbors 2 doors down from mine had been caught doing some prolific things in their apartment, and due to whatever it was they were doing, The whole building had to be evacuated until they could get a cleaning crew there. I guess it had been to do with the chemicals I kept seeing them bringing in, and our... Either way, they told me that this was the type of thing that allowed me to break my leave and move, and they even offered me to pay for my hotel could I find a new appointment. How lucky for me. I even found a new apartment in the city I'm planning to move in. The wholesome process took an hour, and I was set up to see my new place in a few days and get all paperwork signed, move in. All that's left to pick up my rental truck and go and empty out my apartment. It's not much, so I have accepted to be there too long, and I am getting fairly early start so I don't have to be there in the dark. I am buying lots of lamps for my next apartment, and I really hope nothing follows me. Dun dun dun! It's a little bit too late for that. You're already dead, honey. Undated 2002. It's time. I need to write this all down because nothing else I've tried seems to work. Whatever was haunting me at last apartment has followed me here, and I can't keep living like this regardless of what happened in my past. I know I am only human, and I can't let it continue to plague me. There was a time when I was committed to the tenets of society. I knew nothing else of life and assumed that everyone not involved in my faith was simply wrong or several confused. I even felt a sort of pity for those not on the right side. My education involved the beliefs of society and was monitored close by those of the inner circle. I should probably explain that Aspen's Fall and Society of Silence was structured more like a religious material than a church. Everything was in the realm of faith, and the town was funneled through the inner circle, who operated equally as the city council administrators of faith. Every aspect of daily life was broken down into historical parts, but not in an overt way that would attract curiosity outsiders. You had the premiers who answered to the leaders, who in turn reported back to a specific member of the inner circle. to the inner circle, it was all broken down by which family you were a part of or related to, and your duties would always stay within that family responsibilities. In my case, I was related through the Mason bloodlines, and our responsibilities always focus on maintaining the town. The Mason family members worked jobs like construction and plumbing, real blue-collar stuff to the outside world. Within each family, there was a horrific system where the eldest children would be put in charge of a group of young kids and them with their duties and educate what this is, that these older kids were also in their own group tended another older kid, and so on, all the way up to primary. A person who was usually the oldest 17 years old of given the family. I was primary. I had grown up knowing that this position and its associated responsibilities would eventually be my burden to shoulder, and had prepared for every day of my life. I was ruthless in extinction of daily duties. And had followed the law to the letter. Basically, this meant that I got really good at getting the other kids into trouble, and was even better at weeding out kids who asked too many questions about our faith. That all changed when I had a kid transferred to my group. He had been causing trouble, and somebody higher up decided to punish the kid. He would be transferred to my group after the end of his first day. I wondered who the punishment was really for. For me? For him? For clarity, he came from the Davidson group. They were at the very top of the Aspen's foe, hereditary, and enjoyed easier lives than the rest of us. Those from my family line were basically at the top of the barrel, and we lived lives that reflected that back-breaking work from sun up until dawn. Before I could get lost in the details, I want to explain why his addition to our group was such an important turning point for me, and why it led to that day and my desire to escape Aspen Falls. Oh, so he was technically working with the occult. That makes technically sense what's been going on with him having bad dreams. This kid had a bad attitude, and he acted out by being destructive and possible in whatever activities we had going on. At first, I agreed with the power that and construction him troublemaker until I caught a belief a brief glimpse of his true nature. We had been assigned to clean up the park across the local pub. It was hot out and the kids were struggling with the heat. I watched one of the girls started to collapse and this boy broke the character and rushed to catch her before she hit the ground. He asked if she was okay, got her some water and made sure she sat down in a shady spot to rest. It wasn't a flirting thing, he was just reacted with care towards someone else. After weeks of dealing with his snotty attitude, I was shocked to see the kind of behavior, so I vowed to keep a close eye on him. In time, I started to realize this 13-year-old was truly a gentle soul and behaved a certain way to mask what he was really feeling. He hated the society and he really hated the inner circle. He pointed out so many disrespects in their message that even I started to have doubts about my faith. Oh, so that kind of makes sense on what's going on through him. Makes total sense. Then the day came. There was a time shortly before every premier's birthday when we would gather for the occasion. Ascension was when the premiers moved into adulthood. 18 tiers of the town history. The details of a ceremony were kept secret, and on that day I have found out why. Oh, so that's why the occult was actually gotten Daniel to move into his grandma's when he reached 18 today. That makes sense. That totally understand the possibility of why. Makes sense. All the premiers were ushered individually into an office in town hall building. I was extremely nervous because after going into the office, the premiers were ushered out another door so as to not spill the beans to those who still waiting in line. The premiers for my group were last, and I was near the end of the line of the group, so by the time they got to me, I watched an entire crowd disappear through the doors without any sense of what waited for me. My turn finally came and I was called into the office, where I entered the room and saw two more doors, one which opened the staircase leading down. There was a leader there who I recognized from the Gillespie group, and she motivated towards the staircase, but said nothing. I began to descend in the stairs. At the bottom there was another doorway that led into a giant chamber. Members of the inner circle were gathered around the stone altar. When I entered, they bunched together with backs to me so that I couldn't see what was on top of the altar. But when they noticed me, the group spread out. It took me... Okay. Breathe. It took me a moment to realize what I was looking at. There was something tied to the altar. Not just anyone. It was the kid. That young boy who had been transferred to my group a few months prior. Oh! Is it because he was good? Realization hit me like a ton of bricks, and I knew what was coming even before the group started chanting. A life without faith is no life at all. We offer this sacrifice to offer our faith. They kept going on, but I began feeling nausea, but refusing to let it show on my face. Then a strange sensation sets in. It was like I had been gently pushed aside from the driver's seat of my own body. Oh, so the boy who basically captured this girl is being sacrificed. Oh, still got tons more to do. I watch myself move towards the altar, completely unable to stop. The chanting grew louder in my ears, but it felt millions miles away. So I reached the altar and looked down at the terrified boy. His eyes widened when he recognized me, but I wasn't in control, and I could offer him no signs of comfort. A knife sat next to his hand, and I saw my hand reach out for it and pick it up. The kid began to tighten the rope that bounded him as he brought the knife up in front of him. And then there was silence in my hands, and in silence I heard a voice. "Do it! Now!" The knife came down. Then there was blood, so much blood I blacked out. When I came to, I was on my own bed at home. I could hear my parents downstairs speaking harsh tones. I couldn't make out everything, but I did catch a few phrases. "This hasn't happened before. We'll just have to take him to Judith." I roll out of bed quietly, avoiding the creaky bits on my bedroom floor. I grabbed as many clothes as I could shove into my backpack, a few personal items and a secret savings stash, and crawled out of my window and down the storm drain. I knew I had to cut through the Wokda forest on foot to reach the nearest town with the bus station, but I didn't care. I just needed to run far away as I could. I wasn't excited at all to go and see Judith. That woman scared me. My brain tried to realization that had happened. I guess all the other premiers had made their own sacrifice, but I was the odd one out who fainted during the ceremony. I made it to the bus station and bought a ticket south. I hop off the bus every so often to change destination, but always kept moving south. Eventually, feeling the desperation slowed, so I hopped off the last bus, and well, the rest I've already written down. I hope this helps. It's sort of confession to a horrible crime, but I swear I had no control. It breaks my heart knowing what I done. Seeing the kid that there, it was just confirmed that all the questions he had were legitimate. It was a horrible vindication of his suspicion and a swift end to his troublemaking. There, I've done it. Now I just hope the nightmare goes away. So, the guy who had been having nightmares and who ran away was actually him the entire time. So that's why he's been having nightmares about killing the kid and all sorts what's going on. So it's fucking awful what happened to the boy, really saddening. So the boy had suspicions and the mystery behind it. So basically they killed the kid because he didn't believe in their faith, and didn't like what they're doing. So I personally like the mystery behind it. Obviously it's a little bit better than Silent Hill. This one is dig deeper to the lore of the story, and I kind of liked it. Anyway, without further ado, let's go to the pub and have a few drinks, shall we?
Said that dad was an alcoholic. You think this was his watering hole?
Probably. The clearest memory I have is the smell of his breath when he would get home. Beer and cigarettes. It was gross, but also kind of comforting.
Weird. But I get that. My adoptive father wasn't a drunk, but I do remember the way he would smell after work. We were good people. Him and my adoptive mom. They were strict, but they always showed me love.
Lucky you. I got shuffled around the foster system for years until a family took me in. They weren't the worst people, but I never quite felt at home there. Probably why I got a job as soon as I could and moved out.
Do you still talk to them?
Holidays mostly, but no, not really.
Somebody from Aspen's garage will be by today to pick up the keys to Bobby's car. We should really ban that asshole from the premises. I swear I caught him taking a piss in the alleyway out back before he started all the ruckus last night. Sheriff Mason has his hands full with that fucker. Is he talking about the kid?
Finally, we got wheels!
Let's get back to the car post-haste.
Date: the 2nd of the 14th, 2015. The blog I started a few years ago has become an archive of associates committed in Aspen's Falls. Under the veil of darkness, it's my hope that by sharing my story, others may find solace, validation, and that the strength to break free from their own meteorological Aspen's Falls, or even the real place. As I write these words, I can't help but if the rendition is within my grasp, can only truly escape the clutches of their past, or are we forever haunted by the choices we made? The spectator of the inner circle still looms lurking around the plurality of my consciousness, a consistent reminder that is never truly far away. Yet, the more I write, the closer I get to the librarian. My journals and my blog posts have been a weapon that shields against the approaching darkness. I refuse to be silent, a victim forever bounded by the chains of the past. I can't ever truly redeem for what I have done, but hopefully I can find peace. My soul-empty existence is hidden cavern, reminds me that the battle is not yet over. There are countless others who remain trapped. Their lives in ecstasy intertwined with the inner circle grip. It is for them that I write, for their voices that has been silent. Through my words, I will ensure that the stories are heard and their suffering acknowledged. Oh, so he has been feeling guilty for the past few years of what happened. So that can actually make sense of what's going on in this town. I do like myself a good old horror. Anyway, let's hope I don't verse any more zombies.
No time like the present, Marty. Let's get that car started and get the hell out of here. name on it right here! Die! Die!
Of Aspen's Falls and make the short drive to their parents' home. They arrived to find a distorted farmhouse. Now I am gonna stop here because me hands are fucking sore and me aches and pains are sore. But one thing that I do like is the story. The background files where you find give a sinister feel of what happened in this town, and it gives a good feeling. This game does deliver a survival horror route, but and the story where this guy who moved into town to get away from the past and reveals a sinister plot what happened. Honestly, the gameplay wise kind of difficult to navigate because you like there are way too many monsters, but I like it. But yeah, this game, obviously this part didn't have a supernatural feel, but I do want to bring out the sense of dread and something there, because the way it played in this episode reminds me of a Resident Evil meets Silent Hill thing. But all in all, I'm starting to starting to understand the plot from the files and what we're given out. The gameplay wise, I think it needs to be improving. If it was in easy mode, if there's an option to play easy mode, then yes, I would play it. But all in all, can't wait for the next episode. So, will Martha and Daniel find out the truth of why their father tried to kill them? And what's the connection with Daniel will all be revealed in the next exciting episode of Stray Souls. And give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more. And I'll see you later. So long, farewell. We see you again. Goodbye. Goodbye. Now shite off, I need a drink.